Welcome back, everyone. Today's video, while not really a railroad update, is a little different discussion. They say curiosity killed the cat, so hopefully this won't be fatal to anything or any parts of the railroad. But read a little bit about DCC noise and RC, or resistor capacitor filters, or snubbers as they're sometimes called. And the curiosity got the better of me, so I am doing a little test. So here we are. It's my 5 amp NCE smart booster. Here are my PSX circuit breakers. So we're right at kind of the central part of the railroad in terms of distance from the command center. So I've got an oscilloscope set up with the 2 probes connected on the rails. Again, very close to the command station. And the concept being, for anyone who hasn't looked into this, is, you know, the longer your bus wire runs are, even if you've got them twisted, you get a little bit of induction and develop some noise, as it's called, in the NCE signal, or not the NCE signal, but the DCC signal. And I'm zoomed in on the top of a wave here, so your zeros and ones in your packets and so forth coming from the command center, fluctuate and should form a nice square wave. And you can see this is pretty square, but on the head end of it, and again I'm zoomed in 10x on the oscilloscope and also using a 10x probe, so I'm zoomed in really tight. If I were to back out, this would look like a nice square wave. So right here at the command center, a little bit of noise, but really not too bad. So again, the theory is that the longer you go, the more noise you pick up. And I'll also preface this, and I said the curiosity got the better of me. I'm not having any problems with locomotive response or anything else. So I'm not seeing anything. I've had no damage to decoders. I haven't had any runaway locomotives. So some of the usual causes, or results rather, of that, I'm not observing. So this is really just a curiosity experiment. So I'm going to pause it. We're going to move the oscilloscope down to probably the farthest run on my railroad, which is about maybe 32 feet. And as you've probably viewed in other videos, if you've watched them of mine, I use solid 14 gauge bus wire. And yeah, maybe this is an argument to use 12, who knows. So we'll move down to the other end of the railroad and see what we get. Okay, here is the opposite side of the command center. So this is really 180 degrees. Now we're in the staging area. I just wanted to show you essentially that this run comes up underneath the upper staging. As I mentioned, it's about 32 feet long. Goes across my duck under, loops up the grade loop into the Falls Creek area, and then runs out to the end. So about 32 feet, rough measurements, nothing specific. So we come into the oscilloscope. I'm tied into the end here, and wow, you can see, look at all that crap. That is just noise or ringing. There's all kinds of different terminology for it. So the solution, according to my research, is to do an RC filter, which is a resistor capacitor filter. And simply, see if we can get a good shot of that. NCE recommends a 0.1 UF 50 volt or higher capacitor, which is the orange disc capacitor on the right and the left, and then a 100 ohm half watt resistor, which is on the right. So I've soldered those together. See if I can do this with one hand. So what I'll do is, while I've got the oscilloscope and the viewfinder, put this capacitor between the rails, or this RC filter between the rails. Look at that. Cleans it up tremendously. So, curiosity experiment is pretty fascinating. That's something else. So, essentially, and I actually got these for free, thanks Bob Charles. I think Bob bought a whole pile of electronics equipment like this. It's like 17 bucks for 100 or $7 for 10. So I think Bob must have bought 100 of these things, and so he was very generous and gave me maybe about 10 pair to be able to do 10 of these RC filters. So what I'll do is, and I've already got it partially set up here, is at the end of your bus runs, I've just got these screwed in with end connectors, and I'll just probably solder the RC filter at the end of each one of the runs, and then we'll eliminate all of that noise. Again, like I said, I wasn't really getting any performance problems, but was curious to see how that worked, and certainly according to the oscilloscope, there's definitely some noise that happens even on a short, 32-foot run of bus wire. So if anybody's out there running much longer clubs, or running longer, and you're not using at least 12 gauge, I bet you there's some significant static and interference that's getting picked up by induction on your bus wire. One thing of note out here, and I'll loop back in, well, not too far away, I do have 110 volt serving an outlet, and that's right next to my command bus. Probably not the greatest scenario. And then the bus wire for the railroad is tucked behind. You can't see it, but is right here. So we're running parallel, maybe about 12 inches away, parallel to household electric. So that certainly could be picking up some of that noise that is again evident here on the oscilloscope. Just one last. Really hard to do with one hand, but yeah, look at that. That is pretty dramatic difference for pennies for each one of these RC filters. So that's all for now. Thanks for watching.